But today we're going to talk about making money with TTRPGs. This came up because of the whole Twitch leak thing, and it's yet again become discourse in TTRPG Twitter and all over online. If you haven't heard about this stuff, that's fine. You also might be here looking for advice on how to make a living out of this hobby, of how hard it is, how many different jobs you have to have, and really how little you're going to get paid per hour, but it's still possible. So the first thing we're going to talk about is streaming, doing actual plays, because we do Twitch. Hey, boom. I'm going to throw a link to our Twitch /2000tales where we run games, because that's kind of what spurred this all in. Of you look at stuff like Critical Role makes how much per stream? They also have a crew of 40 people, and they all are individually getting paid and all of this stuff. We're not going to be talking about it that size, because that size is never going to happen again. And the gap between that and everyone else is massive. I could do a whole video on the production history of that show, and that's no slight against them. I have no issues with them. I can't keep up with a 4+ hour a week show, but hey, if you enjoy it, great. If you don't, that's also your opinion, but more what it takes. Now, yes, you could in theory go, if everybody has a webcam and we're all on Twitch, we can stream our show, but that's not really going to get you very far in the environment that this exists in anymore. All right. Yes, you could have a great game, but if nobody knows about it, it won't matter. You could have a great game for your table that might not be fun to watch. There's all kinds of stuff for that. We're not going into the specifics of how to stream your TTRPG, so maybe this will just become a like how to do entertainment with TTRPGs. We might do a series on that actually, since I've been doing it for so many years now. Unlike a lot of other streamers, streaming tabletop games is maybe the hardest one to do, because you can't do it alone. You have to have all your players. And there's two ways to look at this of making a living. Are you doing this where you're making a living off of it and all of your players are making nothing, at which point you're getting their work for free and you're profiting off of it? But when we're talking about a professional production, if you're getting paid and not just money going into the cost of the show, but you're getting paid, because we're going to get into that, then it would be fair for them to get paid something too, which means even a 4-person group plus a GM, whatever you make, I make 5 times that amount. But then you also have to worry about the quality. Now, I have a mirrorless Canon camera. Eventually we got up to this. This channel started with a built-in webcam of an already broken laptop. Okay, we slowly worked up. Webcams have gotten more and more expensive. I upgraded to this camera as a very big investment for work. You don't have to have that to start, and that's not where the expectation is going to be, but a stable image and clear audio are mandatory. We're not doing a gear list, but you need to worry about good audio. The thing is, you have to worry about great audio from your players too. Discord has gotten a lot better about this, but like for us, we use Zoom. Because Zoom doesn't crash like Discord does. Zoom doesn't have audio bugs like Discord does. But Zoom also costs us $15 a month to have. And if you're going, well, I can have Zoom through my work, you better hope your work doesn't find out if you're looking to make money off of that, because you are stealing company resources. I mean, if you can do it and get away with it, that's great. We're talking about on the up and up. So what would it cost to do all of this 100% legit? That's already cash right there. $15 a month to do that. If you're recording these and you need to share files with editors or anything like that, you're going to need a cloud service, because Google Drive and stuff's going to fill up real fast with recordings. So look at another $15 a month for like Dropbox 2 terabyte, which is the lowest end on this kind of stuff. As someone who's been doing this for a while, now you're up to $30. If you're going to want to do this to have it make any of your money back, you can't rely on it just being streaming. This is where we're going to get back into this stuff, especially when you're starting out. If you're just on Twitch, it's not going to work. You're going to need to be on YouTube. Ideally, if you're doing actual plays, you're going to want a podcast. The thing is, the bar of quality for those are even higher because they're recorded. You're allowed to get away with more for it being live. They expect those scripts to be removed. And if you really want to compete and get a fan base and a following, you're probably going to want some level of music, some level of editing. The cheap option, edit it yourself. It's more hours you're putting in, which means you're now getting paid even less per hour. But trust me, you're not going to be able to afford otherwise unless you're sinking a ton of money into this. For all the people who got upset of like, why is Twitch getting mad at us for playing music now? Because they shouldn't have been letting you do it in the first place. You need royalties to music. Ideally, what you want is royalty-free music. That doesn't mean the music's free. Royalty-free means you don't have to pay them every time someone listens to it. You pay a flat amount no matter how many viewers you get. Your best bet on that's something like Epidemic. You could get away with something like Stream Beats, which is free. And those didn't exist until like a year or so ago. But if you want something like fantasy, something that fits D&D's moods, basically something that isn't lo-fi, you're going to need something like Epidemic, which is another $15 a month. Now you're up to $45 a month just on the stuff to put together. This isn't counting the hours you're going to have to put in to let people know about your game. Because if you're not out there letting people know the game's there, they're not going to discover it just on Twitch. And then the hours putting in, like we said, editing. For editing, get DaVinci Resolve because it's free. Okay, but you're also going to need a system that's good enough to be able to edit that stuff. If you have something with a dedicated graphics card, you're probably going to be okay as long as the card's made in like the last 5 to 6 years. I'm not saying you have to go spend a fortune, but it will take time and you have to build up. And if all those stars align and you start to build a fan base, you'll start seeing some of that money come back. You're going to want to have a podcast on something like Anchor or another service that lets you get ad revenue off the podcast. You're going to want stuff out on YouTube to get a little bit of ad revenue there. You can't do that till you have 1,000 followers and so many watch hours per year. And then on Twitch, you're going to have your subs and your followers and stuff. Twitch is honestly the lowest bar of entry to see anything come back because becoming an affiliate's actually very easy. I know there's lots of streamers who don't even become an affiliate and they have issues becoming an affiliate. But if you can't pass that bar, you're not going to pass the other bars to do this professionally. We're still not done with the stuff you need if you want this to even pay for itself, because you're probably not even going to be making those $45 a month back through all those revenue sources combined, especially after PayPal takes its fees for being transferred over to PayPal, and then PayPal takes its fees for it being transferred from PayPal to a bank account. All the nickel and diming that happens is insane. These are just the realities. I get it. This is probably going to be a very unpopular, no one's going to watch it video. But I felt like having this resource out here is going to be useful. There's 2 other really big revenue streams you're going to need if you want to make content like this. One is kind of universal, and that's crowdfunding, a coffee, Patreon, anything where you build a fan base and then they support you directly. That is what keeps most channels going. It's what keeps us going heavily. The other ones are ones that are very specific to TTRPGs. First, if it's within a system you know very well and you know any level of writing and you can produce something that looks good on paper, make something to sell or even give away. Once you're established, selling a book or some books will help you make your money back. Until you're established, making a few PDFs that are free that get out in the community so people know who you are to help more people come to your show is going to help. But then making actual books that sell, really helpful. Honestly, our Friday show is mostly being funded by the sales of my new Monster of the Week book. And no, this isn't a plug, but hey, look, a plug. No, not really. I don't think I'm going to make a banner. Again, that takes more time. I don't have the time right now. But then there's the other one. And what's funny with this one is when I started out, this was still considered one of the most taboo things. And I still tried to do it. Thanks to the pandemic and all of that, it's become more socially acceptable to become a paid GM. If you're looking to specifically stream TTRPGs in actual plays and go, I want to make a career out of being a GM and people see me GMing and that's where I'm going to make my money. If you think that's where your career is and not selling TTRPG books or using this to get into a position with a company or anything like that, but specifically running games, your streams are essentially your auditions for people to want to pay you to run games for them. Thing is you're running games for them and you still have to have the time to run your streams or else then everyone forgets about you. You're not going to get new clients in because you're not making the show, and you also need to show that you can be consistent. You are basically making this show to advertise yourself to make money elsewhere, but both of them combined are your job if you're going to become a professional game master in any sense of the word. This also, luckily, if you get very lucky, which recently I've been able to say about my work with Game to Grow, I've gotten lucky, of it can also get your foot in the door to work for several other companies. And maybe you do production work for them, or maybe you get lucky enough you get a sponsored stream or something like that. You're going to be doing a lot of freelance work. The biggest thing to take away from this is if you're looking to turn running tabletop games into any kind of job, you are now a small business. And small businesses are expensive. About 90% of small businesses fail, and that's okay. You might fail and then have to try again. We've rebranded twice. The first time, it wasn't because we failed. We've covered it on the channel, but it was because our brand was very much tied up with a company that I refused to work for anymore. And even after all this, we're still a little tied up with them. But we did that to distance ourselves for long term. The second branding was because our first rebrand just didn't click. So we've had to shift and kind of start from ground one. You're going to do that sometimes in this industry, because doing this is a combination of being in the world of self-publishing, running your own small business, and being in the world of entertainment all at the same time. If that is something that doesn't scare you away when you think about the realities of it, then go for it. It's about knowing what you're capable of and what you're going to sink into. This is not a career path that's going to let you quit your job overnight. This is one that's going to take a lot of hours. You will be making far less than minimum wage per hour you actually work. And if you get lucky, so people will be able to watch your content. You need to make really good content for people to stick around, but you also need a little bit of luck for people to find you in the first place. You can do extra work to help curve that, but with entertainment, there's always an element of luck, of what clicks, what doesn't, but it's also always combined with the hard work of luck gets you in the door, work lets you stay. So I hope anyone who's been thinking about this, especially in my spheres, people are seeing like, they're making how much streaming? We didn't know they made that much. Why are we still supporting them? But there's also going to be people who are seeing those numbers and going, oh, well, if I do even 1% of that, I can live off of that. You got to think about your overhead costs. You got to think about the time and the money it costs to do this. Ours is 100% digital. We don't have a studio. Most of the time, our actors aren't paid. I do most of the editing myself, and I have another editor for when we need to do extra work. Even then, all that's cut into this, the YouTube stuff a little bit, and it still costs us money every stream. Well, no, costs me money every stream. I'm very thankful that I have patrons who help out with that cost. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't be here. But that didn't come out of nowhere. So if you feel like this is something you can do, go for it. Do it. Just realize it's going to take time. It's going to take work. And if you plug away at it, you don't need a huge fan base. You just need to be you and bring what makes you special and your game special to the table, and find the people who love that enough to help you, because you're not going to do it alone, and that's okay too.